Hello and welcome to another edition of the Door 14 Hockey Podcast. I'm your host Marty alongside John.
Hi everyone. Sorry we're late. It was all my fault.
Yes, we as true fashion, true style, we have technical issues so far. So my hand is poised on the tech fault button so that if it happens again, we can hit that button. So it may be an impromptu finish to the episode.
If anything's going to happen, it's going to be my signal completely going off. I've had to do a complete workaround where I am doing the podcast from my phone, which is mounted here. I am watching everything on my laptop, which is here. I'm on my portable microphone. And yeah, I have absolutely no idea why all of this is happening. It might be because I live in rural Scotland with terrible, terrible internet. And would you believe streaming via my phone is a better option than the home Wi-Fi?
And that's all the joys of the fact that you're not in. You're currently in your own home. You're in a temporary home, shall we say?
I'm in what would effectively be called a renovation halfway house. So yeah, I am dealing with sort of 1960s decor, as you can plainly see behind me. I'm on the most uncomfortable chair you can think of, this thing here, which is where I currently work from. I'm where my home setup currently is for working from home. It's less than ideal, but to be honest, it's better than the current state of my own house, which no longer has a back to it. So we make the best of what we can.
Yes, at least your old home had good Wi-Fi and signal. That's all I'll say. John, just me and you. Better. Just me and you tonight. Dave and Aaron are both AWOL. They aren't available tonight, so we just thought, well, there's one more podcast before the official start of our season next month in August. So we thought, well, we'll do one last off-season special before the season officially starts. And as so, we won't be following our normal traditional routine of our podcast. We'll kind of go through, have a quick summary of some of the teams right across the Elite League, have a look at what's changed since our last podcast last month, and yeah, just catch up on a few of the stories that have made the headlines in the last month or so since our last podcast. How does that sound?
Sounds good.
Good. Well, then let's get stuck in, and let's get stuck in with a quick. Let's get stuck in with the first story, before we go in through the summary of the teams. And we just wanted to mention at the very, very top of the podcast the very, very, very sad story coming out this summer of the passing away of Gary Kelly, who's linked to the Dundee Stars. Unfortunately, had a tragic accident while away on holiday, and unfortunately lost his life. Thoughts and condolences to Gary's family, partner, and all of his friends at a very, very, very difficult time. Gary was an up-and-coming future prospect for this league, linked in with the Dundee Stars and the whole hockey community. Anytime someone passes away, a player passes away in any form, the whole hockey community feels it, and it's not so much not more so than the Dundee Stars and all of the fans connected to that team. We echo everything that's been said so far, and we send our condolences and our thoughts to everybody who has been impacted by the loss of Gary. And as always, we just do a quick stick tap to you and your family at this time.
Here.
Okay, let's move on to the summary, shall we say, of the teams across the league. John, I'm going to politely mute you while I'm doing a bit of talking, and then I'll unmute you whenever I ask questions and stuff, because there's a bit of a feedback kind of thing going on. So bear with me. I will unmute you whenever I feel fit for you to jump back in again. So that's how we're going to have to work it. Okay, starting with the Belfast Giants. It has been a very busy summer for the Belfast Giants at the SSE Arena after coming off a double domestic win last season. The 2025-2026 season seems to be I suppose, trying to continue a bit of continuity, I suppose, re-signing some key players we've seen so far: Ben Lake, David Goodwin, Mike Lee, Bo Hansen, JJ Pikanich, Jackson Whistle, all re-signing to firmly kind of make sure there was a good spine to the team so far. there has been some savvy recruiting in the last month or so. We've seen Jackson Whistle's brother, Brandon Whistle, has been signed to the Belfast Giants this coming season, coming over from the Sheffield Steelers. On the blue line, we see Garrett McFadden, who joins us from HC Innsbruck, who isn't a team that we are all very, very aware of here in the Elite League. Alongside that, we have Reid Irwin, who's former NCAA captain, who adds a lot of grit and leadership to the team, coming from the ECHL. The Giants have added some intriguing signings, shall we say. We've seen in the last week or two, we've seen Ryan Smith, who's a power forward from the Dell 2. We've seen Jake Goddard, a former NCAA champion from UMass and an AHL experience. And today, it's probably the most recent signing. We've seen the signing of 39-year-old Swedish veteran Marcus Eriksson, who has played over 700 pro games through various different leagues and sticking a lot with the Swedish league over the last few seasons. Giants aren't rebuilding. I suppose the best way to look at it is they're reloading, shall we say. Good, solid put together so far by the coach there in Belfast. So I think that's a good start. So John, let's get your thoughts on that. First question I suppose to you, in terms of, we've got Goodwin back, we've got Lake back, we've got that veteran leadership there. How vital is that leadership for continuity in the locker room moving forward for next season?
It's going to be massive because obviously the retirement of Cooper makes a massive difference to that Belfast team. I think actually conversations that we had in our group chat just today around the signing of Marcus Eriksson, I kind of looked at his career. He stayed in Sweden his entire career until now, and I knew that I'd known his name. I'd seen him play in the CHL last season against Sheffield when we were watching those games, because Sheffield did remarkably getting as far as they did. That's maybe put the Elite League on his radar. And the fact that he's coming in, he's slightly older, but that veteran leadership quality that he's going to bring alongside the re-signing of our former captain, David Goodwin, who comes in starting the season with the Giants, not just coming in sort of around Christmas time to rescue a ship that's taking on water this time. He's going to actually come in from the very start. So putting in that sort of known quantity of leadership that we've got in the team already with that sort of veteran experience in the shape of Eriksson, I think that looks incredibly strong. I think Belfast look like one of the strongest squads so far through signings.
And do you think the Giants, obviously given the returning players, the new signings so far, do you think the Giants have struck the right balance between continuity and fresh talent so far?
Definitely. I think some of it has been forced. I think we've seen some real fan favourites and probably team favourites move on, no least so than the likes of Jeff Baum going. I have to admit I'm more heartbroken at losing Jeff Baum Sr. than I am at losing Jeff Baum Jr. I think the recruitment's always been an incredibly strong point of Belfast, especially in the Thorts, Kiefer, Robert Fitzpatrick era. We've always recruited incredibly well. And this season shows that again. I think we've lost some players within the league. We've lost some to out with the league. But again, our Brit signings are fantastic. We've got some of the top quality Brits in the likes of Lake, Long, Brandon Whistle, Jackson Whistle, of any squad in the UK. And I'm including Sheffield in that, even though that they have the strongest links with the development side of the game now, with their links with not just the Steel Dogs, but also now with the Sheffield Scimitars. That's a strong thing, I think, for me to say right now, is that I think Belfast have gone out and have one-upped everyone on the Brit signings, with the exception of one who I will mention when we come to another team.
Okay. I definitely think we're going to move on to our next team now in a second, but last comment I just wanted to mention on that. I do think, just come back to something you said there, it does feel like the Giants have went out this off season and looked at where they need to fill the gaps and make things stronger to go for a proper CHL European run, because a lot of the players they've brought in feel like they've came from that European selection, Dell to Swedish Liga. Those types of players have been really where they've kind of focused their recruitment this off season. So it will be an interesting one. John, I'm going to move on to Cardiff, so I'm going to mute you again. Sticking with Cardiff, it has been a summer of change, but a bit of tradition there for the Cardiff Devils heading into this next season. I suppose the biggest headline in the off-season so far is that Joey Martin is back for his 10th season with the club. Devils all-time leading import scorer after putting up 62 points last season, producing at an all-elite level. It's also that this is going to be his testimonial this year as well, so it's a good legacy year for the club. Also turning, we have Josh McDonald, who's Devils' top scorer. We have Ben Davies, Ben Bowens, Mark Richardson, some of the usual names that we're used to seeing come this part of the season for the Cardiff Devils. On top of that, we have some new faces, including defenseman Tyson Helgeson, Brendan Esty, Brody Kay. We have Jimmy Olgany. I hope that's how you pronounce it. John, you're muted, so you can't even fix that for me. And we do have some upfront grit in the form of who they've signed as Cedric Lacroix, Connor Caponi, and in goals they have went for, obviously helping Ben Bryans in between the pipes, they have went for Christian Stover. Also, massive change. We talked about this in the last podcast. Pete Russell has left after what was quite a successful Continental Cup last season. However, they fell short with the domestic cups, so the Devils have turned to veteran coach this season, Paul Thompson. Anybody who has no aware of Paul Thompson is well known for his structure first style, no nonsense play. Is no stranger to the Elite League, having been most notably probably with the Coventry Blaze for a number of years. And I suppose his thing of coming in will be to try and cement some kind of new legacy for himself and also kind of maybe create a new identity for this team. So it's a bit of a rebuild there, or will we call it a rebuild? Is it more of a recalibration? I'm not sure. So let's see what happens there with the Cardiff Devils this coming season. John, my first question for you, and I know we kind of touched upon this last podcast, but obviously we've had Paul Thompson now has had his first interviews, part of that summit that they do every year. Slightly cringy. He was having a talk obviously with Todd Kelman on that. In terms of the shift from Pete Russell to Paul Thompson, I mean, how significant do you think tactically and culturally will that be for the Cardiff Devils next season?
I don't know that it'll be a massive shift. Paul Thompson's a known quantity. No one knows him better across the league than probably Todd Kelman at this point. So they know what they're going to get. They know the sort of team that they're going to get. Now, I think my question might be, is Tomo here for the long haul? Because since he left, you could argue maybe since he left Coventry, maybe since he left Sheffield, he hasn't really settled anywhere. He's jumped around. He's come back to the Elite League. He's gone back to Germany. I think this is probably a stopping point. This might be a 1 year thing for the Devils as well. This might be, we need a year to do some real research into who we want leading us in the long term. What's more interesting to me there is that they let Matthew Myers go. That was a more fan displeasing moment when I think everyone expected a new head coach. I think that was always coming. But for Matty Myers not to be given the opportunity to either step up or at least stay on in an assistant coaching role was very interesting. And actually what's really telling is that he's found himself a new job with Corona. And his first game in charge of his new club will actually be against Elite League opponents in the shape of the Fife Flyers. So that will be very telling. We're going to talk about the Flyers, but it'll be very telling for me, that game. I know we're talking about the Cardiff Devils, but we'll see what sort of Fife Flyers we get. Cardiff, I think you're right. I think it's not a rebuild necessarily. I think it is a recalibration, but actually I think that recalibration is coming on the bench, not necessarily on the ice. I think this is a team to do what they can this season. I'm not entirely sure that they are they're going to be a force. They will not have recruited just to get through the season. Don't get me wrong. They will win games. They will take big scalps. But do I think that they're realistically competing for possibly the league, maybe playoffs? Not really. I don't think so. Watch them prove me wrong, but I'm not entirely sure.
Interesting, because that was going to be my next question to you, John, was going to be, compared to the rivals like Belfast, now I'm putting them up there, top 4 teams, compared to the rivals, Belfast, Nottingham, Sheffield. Do you feel that the Devils have had a stronger, weaker, or an equal off-season, signings and, moves they've made so far?
I think they've had probably an on-par summer to the likes of Coventry and Guildford. I don't think they've made the number of stunning signings that the likes of Belfast, Nottingham and Sheffield have. I think those 3 teams are leaps and bounds above the others. No pun intended with Ben Bounds being there in Cardiff. The one thing that I would say that I think Cardiff, and this is just Paul Thompson hockey coming through more than anything, is I think he's done what he always does, and he sought out remarkable British talent. And this was the one signing I wanted to talk about where I think other teams have let this guy slip, is Brody Kay. I'm led to believe that there were still discussions for Brody to be kept on in Fife, but with ownership changes and coaching changes and everything, discussions were going on, and rightly he made the decision to take the offer that was on the table, and that was in Cardiff Bay. And I think he's going to be a talent. He is one of the best young Scottish players on the ice right now, and he is going to make waves in this league as his career progresses.
Yep, agreed. Let's move on to our next team and the form of the Coventry Blaze. So the Coventry Blaze, Skydome Arena, they have had a interesting off-season, shall we say, so far. They started by locking in their leadership core. Head coach Kevin Moore signed an additional 2-year extension, and he took on additional role as the director of hockey operations. So it kind of ensuring there was a clear vision from the top down, to make sure that the team seems to be successful enough. They have David Clements is returning as well for his 10th season. And similarly, it was recently announced he'd be honored with a testimonial game after his 500th Elite League appearance this past season. They have veteran goaltender Matt Robinson, British stalwarts David Clements, who's a assistant captain there, Tim Tallberg, plus Grayson Constable, Zane McKenzie, and Eliso Lacini, who's also signed for another year. But they have also added in an injection of some new talent in the form of Matthew Gleeson, who came in from an NCAA career. We also have Mike Pellich, who is well known from coming down from Glasgow. I was about to say Braehead. He's a seasoned Canadian centre, ECHL longevity. He also has past Elite League experience. We also have 2 players poached from the Belfast Giants. Grant Mismash, 26-year-old American forward, well known there for Belfast Giants, 43 points last season. And we also have Elijah Barriga, who played last season, was his proper full season for the Belfast Giants, because the season before, unfortunate injury took him out quite early. He posted 50 points, and he has been poached as well by the Coventry Blaze. We could also say Max Stewart in a form as well has been poached from the Belfast Giants. Max Stewart comes in from Belfast Giants as well as the Milton Keynes Lightning. Young British talent there, getting his first full start in the Elite League with the Coventry Blaze. We did talk about that in the last podcast. So kind of what is the story so far in Coventry? So far it's been a kind of a mixed bag, strong veteran influence, strategic decisions around where they're going to move with new players coming in, that new young talent as well. What are we going to expect from them? Youthful side. They're definitely a team, in my opinion, that looks like they're competing for a Challenge Cup this year. Maybe a top 5 finish in the Elite League, top 4 at a stretch, maybe. Their season will open in the preseason in late August against Milton Keynes Lightning and the Tilburg Trappers, and then they'll also be facing off against the Nottingham Panthers in early September. John, first question, do we feel that this is probably one of the most balanced Coventry Blaze rosters that we've seen in recent years?
Yes and no. It's funny, I've been doing a few TikTok lives over the last couple of nights, and a few people have asked me specifically what I think about Coventry and sort of how the Blaze are shaping up. And to be honest, I don't know what kind of team they're trying to be. There's size, there's toughness, and their defense is fairly solid. I like the look of Clements going into his 11th season. I think there's maybe questions. There was certainly questions on TikTok Live earlier today, maybe why he's not strapping on the C. and Kim Tolberg is getting his second season as the captain of that squad. But then they're also bringing in, I mean, for us Giants fans, it's easy for us to say is a known quantity in Elijah Barriga. I really rate him. I think he's a fantastic player, but clearly just not fitting with what the Belfast Giants are looking like going into 25-26. And I've said from the very start that I think the signing of Max Stewart is one of the signings of the summer by any team. I can pump the tires of Brody Kay moving to Cardiff as much as possible, but Mac is at a level now in his game, and he's come through so many different development teams now, and has spent so long with the senior team in Belfast, even when he was still playing as a junior. Obviously, it's great to have dads in high places to do that, but he looks great. And the fact that he's now got his first full-time pro contract, Coventry's great. I look forward to Coventry producing more out of him, and then the homecoming to Belfast in a couple of seasons will be fantastic.
Yeah, you. I think you preempted my second question that I had for the Coventry Blaze there, and I think you answered it pretty well already. I was going to ask, do you feel it's going to be much of a game changer that the fact that they landed those key contributors from Belfast, to the team? But I think you've answered that pretty well already.
I mean, listen, Coventry are not the only ones doing it.
Yeah, no. And we'll probably come on to that after for a few more teams. Let's switch our attention up north and head to Tayside. Is that right? It is Tayside, isn't it? Dundee. Yep, sweet. I know my geography. Let's head towards. Let's have a look at Dundee and see what they've been up to this off season so far. So the summary there for the Dundee Stars. I suppose quietly but purposely reshaped their roster heading into this next season. Clear ambition, I feel, with some of the moves they've made. Maybe not as clear cut as what you can clearly see in a rival town in Fife, but we'll come to them in a few minutes. I suppose first of all, you've got the continuity. We've got British stalwarts Chris Inglis coming into the 9th season with the Stars. We also have Spencer Nass. Michael Ford returns for a 3rd year. The Stars have also added some quality to the roster as well. Defense, they've secured Griffin Luce, who's a physical two-way blue line player from ECHL. He played for the Worcester Reelers. We also have Jackson De Souza. I'm going to say that looks like how you pronounce it. Joins from Norway, from Lillehammer, 14 points in 46 games. We have Morten Jurgens, who comes in as well. Matt Berry joins from North America. We also have a few other players as well. We have 17-year-old goaltender Dominic Yugler, who moves from a two-way contract in SNL to a full contract with Dundee, coming in as a second-string netminder there. Well, we wouldn't say second-string, but he's coming in as for a full-time contract with the Dundee Stars. Really good to see there. And also then you have Jonathan McBean, who's also a local product who has been linked in for a 2-year extension to 2027. So good homegrown talent also on show, as we always see with the Scottish teams. I suppose good, strong British core so far, John. Feels like they're focusing on a kind of a reboot in some ways in relation to kind of challenging for that, at least for their own conference. Maybe not so much we could be surprised. It feels definitely that they're aiming for a top finish within the old conference style in terms of top maybe Scottish team. Do we see they're going to go any further? Well, I suppose that's one of the questions. And I suppose that's the first question I was going to ask you, John. Can Dundee move up the standings this year, or is this clearly just like almost like another rebuilding mode compared to some of the rivals?
I don't think you can call what Dundee are doing a rebuild. A rebuild happens with purpose, and Dundee still have so many signings to make at this point, or at least to announce. Now I know they, in wanting to pay tribute to Gary Kelly, they have delayed a number of their signing announcements. So while I'm saying they haven't announced a lot, they have paused quite a lot of their social media action, especially in the last 2 weeks, just for that reason. So look, they did put out a statement and said players are signed, announcements are coming, but so far I'm not seeing anything that makes me think that they're any higher than the second best team in Scotland. Yes, you could say that my particular bias might have one team ahead of them. It's not. It's Glasgow. Glasgow are and should be the best team in Scotland in the Elite League, and Dundee have always been very much second fiddle to them, especially over the period where we've had the Five Flyers propping up the league. I don't think we're going to come on to talk about them. I don't think that's going to be the case this coming season, but I don't see anything desperately impressive in that Dundee squad right now. I don't see anything that makes me think they're going to do anything massive when it comes to the Challenge Cup. I think Belfast Giants, because of the broken format of the Challenge Cup, the Belfast Giants will go through in first place. If they don't, it's an incredible shock. And I reckon Glasgow or Fife this season are the second team to go through. Dundee are a mid to low level, low table position team. They are that. There is only so much advancement that they can do with the size of their rink, with the gate that they bring in. The style of players that they get is not going to change massively. And until something changes, if import numbers keep going up, the Dundee Stars will go down along with the other teams who can't afford the sort of imports that the arena teams can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and again, preempting what I was going to go with, I was going to talk about that in terms of the aspect in terms of the rivals and how close they'll be with the rivals. So, spot on. Let's move across to one of the rivals and have a look at another team in Scotland, and we'll move over to the Kingdom of Fife. I suppose you dropped off there for a second. I suppose for some, and including ourselves in some ways, a lot of exciting things happening up in Fife. We all have. I know, John, you live in Fife, and therefore you have a specific soft spot for the Fife Flyers. But I think it's okay to say that the rest of the guys here on the Door 14 Hockey podcast also have a bit of a soft spot for the Fife Flyers. Anytime we've been there, we've had great fun. We've always been very welcomed there. It's always been, people talk about how it's a really intimidating place to go to. It really hasn't been for us. It's been great. And I don't know if that's because we've had some Scottish people, John, on our side when we've been there, and a few of his friends and family have been with us as well when we've been there. But it's always been a great time, and we always have a soft spot for them. So for us as well, it's been quite exciting to see what's been happening up there. We will come on to the Fife's rebrand in some ways, which they have put out, including a really impressive video with some images around what their jerseys might look like next season. We'll come to that later in the podcast, but right now let's have a quick look at what they have been doing up there in Fife. Significant developments for the club there. Obviously, as we know, ownership has changed this off season. Early 2025, it was announced that Tom Muir and Jack Wishart were stepping down after 20 years. It was taken over by an American-based group led by former Cardiff Devils captain Max Breber. He has taken control and has officially brought in what he's described as a new beginning and a new chapter for the Fife Flyers. He's been very clear, and it's been the message right through the off season so far, that he wants to restore the club's pride both on and off the ice, and that is very clear in the video that we'll talk about later on in the podcast. Under the leadership, Fife has tried to strengthen their roster and make big moves so far. They have brought in some players such as Canadian forward Keaton Jameson. They have brought in Andrew McLean from ECHL Iowa Heartlanders. They have also looked at moving to broader strategy to enhance the team's competitiveness and build some of the foundations for the upcoming season. It's looking like it's exciting times for the next chapter of this club, and we will come back, as I say, and talk about them in the next period, later in this episode. But John, just wanted to get your thoughts first and foremost in terms of what we've seen so far, in terms of the personnel that have been hired, in terms of what kind of style of play do you think we can expect from the Fife Flyers this year, given coaching and the players that have been signed so far?
There's only one kind of hockey that Fife are coming to play, and it is rough, tumble, physical hockey. The signing in particular of Andrew McLean, this is a guy who is not afraid to drop the gloves. This is a guy who would not look out of place in the Adam Keefe, Matt Nickerson era of the Elite League. He is going to bring something that has not been in Kirkcaldy since Matt Nickerson, actually, I'm going to say. that is the kind of hockey that we expect to see in Kirkcaldy. It's the kind of hockey that fits the rink in Kirkcaldy. It fits the culture of the club. It fits the culture of Kirkcaldy. And that will put bums in seats. Like you said, we've got this rebrand to look at, but we've also got a period where there's new owners, new ideas coming into a club. Fans could be afraid of that. They're not. Several weeks ago, the club announced that they'd gone over 500 season tickets. That's incredible.
Yeah, which is a record for them. They did say it was a record for them.
Yeah, so for this period of transition, for that to happen, I think it's great. Now, one thing I want to look at is Shane Owen, because in the TikTok lives, there's been a bit of chat about, we need to get Shane Owen out, and other fans of other clubs saying we need to get Shane Owen out. A couple of Flyers fans in particular saying Shane needs to go. Give your head a wobble, because Shane Owen, while the Flyers shipped over 300 goals last season, without Shane Owen, and I know he was injured for a while, and they got that other lunatic who decided to try and have a fight with Jackson Whistle, that could easily have been well over 500 goals. If you are now this season, they're looking at a dual import. They've got 2 Canadians who are going to be running between the pipes. If you had, let's say, one of the Kestrels netminders, because things got very, very bad in Fife last season. Let's be totally honest. If Shane had decided, look, I'm going to protect myself, I'm going to protect my career, I'm not going to ice that much, I'm not going to play as many games. If they had brought in another import when they did, if they'd had to rely on, let's say, a netminder from the Kestrels or somewhere else in the Kirkcaldy or the Scottish system, that could easily have been 500-600 goals against, and probably one of the worst plus minuses of any club ever in British hockey, maybe outside the BNL. Shane Owen is a championship netminder. He is AHL quality when he's on form. So anyone saying that Shane Owen should not be in Fife and shouldn't be backstopping an elite league team, give your head a wobble. You've got one of the best netminders in the league. You've got one of the top 4 netminders in the league. So if the recruitment elsewhere can be done properly, Fife can massively overachieve based on their position.
Yeah. Before we move on to the last team in Scotland, I don't mean like last as in last, but last team we have to talk about. I suppose for this coming season, given the fact that the Fife Flyers are rebuilding, rebranding, creating something brand new in some ways, should the fans be realistic and kind of, about, maybe, not expecting too much this coming season in terms of silver or playoff spots? Or do you think realistically that the Fife Flyers could challenge for those types of things this season?
It's not that they could, it's that they need to. This is a new ownership group. I've mentioned this on the lives. It's funny, you're obviously watching the lives and you know the stuff that I've been saying on those. But the Flyers need to produce something this season. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean they have to win silverware, but I think there are certain milestones that new ownership group need to set themselves. The first, I think, is around fan retention, which I think they've already done. I think the season tickets show that they've managed to do that. The next is around league position. I think realistically, and I know this is a massive stretch and some people might call me out for this, but I think top 6 is where the Flyers need to be aiming for. I think 7th or below is a failure as far as the new ownership is concerned. Will be considered not what they want to do. They also must progress past the group stage of the Challenge Cup. Now, I don't like the Challenge Cup. I don't like the competition, but I honestly believe that one massive marker of success will be progression to the immediate semi-final stage, or possibly that playoff game for the final semi-final slot, because we go straight from groups into semi-finals now, and somehow we still don't have a champion of that competition until March. Just someone tell me why. But progressing out of that group stage needs to be one of the absolutes that Fife do this season. They need to get themselves established as the best Scottish team in the Elite League. And I think with the roster that they've put in, with the lack of information that I have around what a complete Dundee Stars roster looks like and what they've got announced so far, and with the team that we're going to talk about in Glasgow, I think there's a big, big opportunity for Fife to establish themselves as the premier Scottish elite league team.
Yeah, 100%. Let's have a look at the last team in Scotland, as I already mentioned. We'll switch our attention to Glasgow. The Clan have been active this offseason, making very strategic moves to enhance their roster for the next season. They have obviously re-signed captain Devin Sedroff as he's extended for a contract for another 2 years, reaffirming his leadership role for the team. Joining him in re-signing is defenseman Chris McKay, who returns for his 3rd season, brings stability there to the blue line. And additionally, then they have re-signed Rylan Schwartz for a 2nd season, hopefully having an impactful presence on the ice for that team. To bolster their offensive capabilities this season, the Clan have signed Canadian centerman Hugo Roy, who comes in from the Nottingham Panthers. Roy has brought a wealth of experience, having accumulated 36 goals and 33 assists over the past 2 seasons in the Elite League. Also, then we have the Glasgow Clan have secured defenseman Steven Siego. Physical leadership, he comes from the European leagues. They see that as kind of where they want to kind of get that experience from. In goals, the Clan have signed Finnish netminder Sami Adikallio. John, you can nod or disagree with me there. You can fix that whenever I put you back on again, who brings a solid track record from his time in Finland's top league as well. And I guess they're looking to have some stability and control in the crease there, because I think they've had a few issues in the past. Looking ahead, the Clan have announced some preseason fixtures against Danish and French opposition. They have also provided some, I suppose, new look team action in the season opener for the fans, so that'll be a very interesting move for the Clan this coming off season. Again, similar to the last off season, there haven't been as much detail coming to them or the Glasgow or the Guildford Flames as there was some of the other teams. But John, I suppose the first thing then, the main question to ask about the Glasgow Clan, and the only real question I have at the moment is, where do you think are the key areas the Clan need to focus on this coming season to ensure that they maybe are better than their rivals in Scotland, Fife and Dundee? You've made it very clear what you think about the other teams against Glasgow Clan, but what do you think they need to focus on in order to make sure that they're more successful?
They need to make sure that those pies that they've just announced are really tasty. In all seriousness, the roster that the Clan have put together is absolutely no surprise. It looks like it's hugely Canadian. Which is no surprise with Corey Nielsen being at the helm there. They have been... I'm less than impressed with their Brit signings. I think that lack of depth from their Brits could unpick them. I think this is absolutely no disrespect to the guys that are on the roster. Like, they're 110,000% better at playing the game than I am. I certainly couldn't step on the ice and be at Glasgow Clan level, but I think unfortunately there are a number of better British players out there on the market who are still being signed and are still being announced, especially in the likes of the NIHL. Actually, there's some outstanding moves going on in the NIHL right now, which I am trying to sort of keep my eye over. But I do wonder if that will have an effect. Now, there are a lot of changes in Glasgow this season, and what I'm not going to do, and I know that there's massive changes across the league as well in teams that we've already talked about, especially Fife. But I don't know what this team does. Are they going to be a stay-at-home team that are just going to score one more goal and stop the other team scoring, or are they putting themselves out there with the likes of Newman, Parry? I love that you still refuse to say "wah," by the way. Are they going out specifically to try and score 4 or 5 goals in a game and put it to bed? I don't know what that team looks like just yet. I don't know what the ethos behind that team is yet. If it's a Corey Nielsen team, you imagine. I always associate Corey Nielsen with Doug Christensen. I thought they played they coached more hockey. It might be incredibly boring to watch, but when it works incredibly well, and they win games. And again, we've said it nearly for 10 years now. The Glasgow Clan need to win trophies because they are the league underachievers. Now, I asked the chat on TikTok earlier. Someone asked the question actually, if you could associate an NHL club with elite league clubs, what would it be? The overriding sort of sense was that, and I'm sorry, Marty, that the Glasgow Clan are the elite league's Toronto Maple Leafs as the standing underachievers of the league.
That's a bit harsh. It's very harsh, actually. I think I don't think you can put them on the same level. I would say maybe more like Philadelphia Flyers. He's not here to defend it. Okay, let's move on to our next team, and then that's in the form of the Guildford Flames. Guildford Flames, so far, I'm just going to put this. Guildford Flames, I'm going to start off, I haven't done this with any other teams, but I'm going to start off with Guildford because I think this is a big part of a big story that from Guildford this off season, and that is the fact that one big familiar face will depart from the Guildford Flames after over 200 games, and that is forward Ryan Tate. He moves on to Sheffield Steelers after 3 seasons with the Flames, scoring 79 goals and 195 points over the 200 games that he's been with the Guildford Flames, and I think that's a big loss for them in Guildford. The Flames have been active in the transfer market so far, though, making several key additions to strengthen their squad. Notably, they've brought in defenseman Jake Gravel, Sean Cromery, and Ben Solder, along with Cole Uli, who they have sniped and poached, and they've brought him in, Tyler Bush, Josh Nixon, and Tyler Prezzo. They obviously are trying to bolster both their offensive and defensive lines for this upcoming season. In terms of returning players for the Guildford Flames, despite all the changes they've made so far, the Guildford Flames have got a kind of strong returning player core in the form of Lewis Hook, Matt Alvaro, Sam Talbot is also back alongside Travis Bowen and Charlie Curdy, 2 players not unknown to the Belfast Giants. Belfast Giants fan base having signed with the Guildford Flames previously, coming from Belfast Giants. In goal, we do have Jake Kupski and also Adam Long, who will continue to do a joint effort there between the pipes. They have also announced their preseason, and their preseason looks as follows. They'll be facing off against Amenz on August 30th. They're going against the Cardiff Devils on September 6th, and then they'll face off against the Nottingham Panthers on September 14th. Obviously, a good preseason matchups going ahead there for them to get their feet on the ice and get moving. Given the off-season moves, John, realistically, obviously, we've talked about this previously. We're now about 3 seasons removed from the season where they had that massive run of form, challenging for the league that season, getting the playoff final weekend. I mean, 3 seasons on, have things moved on for the Flames? Are the Flames still realistically up there in top? Are they going to be finishing in the league standings realistically up high, or what do you think is a realistic goal for this team?
First and foremost, let's say that I'm completely heartbroken to see the funniest name in the Elite League leave the team and also leave the league in the shape of Michael Crowcock. I am heartbroken to see him depart the league. He has been one of the highlights of the Elite League season for me for a couple of years now. So, Mike, wherever you end up, I wish you the very, very best, and I hope it's not an English-speaking league. Where do I think the Flames will be? I know that Anthony's here now. We mentioned in the last podcast that Anthony has finally taken up the full-time role as the webcast announcer for the Flames. So once again, congrats on that, Anthony. And yes, you did time it well coming on to the podcast tonight, just in time to hear us talk about your team and your employer. So feel free to jump in and defend them in the chat as much as you want. Guildford, I'm not entirely sure. I've struggled to sort of look up and down that squad and figure out where they're going to end up. I really enjoyed the period where Guildford were really strong because I don't want to say they came out of nowhere. When they joined the league with Milton Keynes, they were very much mid-table, and I actually really enjoyed that rivalry that they brought with Milton Keynes. I think it added something really interesting to the league. Now, the sad thing about it is that Milton Keynes have been away for a number of seasons now. Guildford almost kind of exist on their own. which is really sad and disappointing because they're so far south. They don't have a rivalry with anyone in particular. They've been very much mid-table for the last couple of seasons. They disappointed a lot of people when they didn't take up their European spot when it was on offer. And yeah, I don't really know. Now, the couple of departures that you mentioned there, Ryan Tate's a really interesting one, going to Sheffield. Kyle Locke going to Manchester. We're going to talk about Manchester because that's a team I really want to talk about in a second. And some of the announcements that are coming in, Kupski, is that how you say it? I think he's going to be, in fact, they're literally, as I say it, Anthony puts it in the chat as well. I think that's going to be an interesting signing. Brit-wise, I think they've done quite well. They've retained. They've also brought up a few as well. Ben Soldier coming from Milton Keynes. Once again, I'm looking at the chat and seeing Anthony. I really have to go for a beer with Anthony because I feel like it would just be like talking to a mirror sometimes. Like we do tend to have the same takes on stuff. But yeah, I'm still not 100%. I'll be interested. They're another team that I'll be interested to see through their preseason how they do. And what we get from them. But right now, I'm probably expecting them to be mid-table. I don't think the signings have been strong enough to compete with those top three again. I think we might see Guildford and Cardiff maybe going at each other quite a lot for position in the league this year. But I think the top three are just head and shoulders above right now.
Yeah. You talked about Manchester, so let's have a quick look at them and see what's going on there in for the Storm. I suppose the most common phrase I feel like I've used so far in this podcast is new era, and I'm going to say the same for this one. There seems to be a new era anyway on the bench for the Manchester Storm this coming season. Former Storm captain Cam Critchlow has been appointed head coach. He's going to take over from interim boss Mike Moran, who returns as his trusted assistant. This will be Mark Critchlow's first season behind the bench after retiring from playing this past spring. So far, what has happened in the offseason so far for the Manchester Storm? Well, the Storm have added NHL draft pick Dennis Busby to the defensive lineup. He's coming in from the ECHL Thunder. They've also signed forward Caleb Ergang, 24-year-old Canadian winger. That's my dog sneezing in the corner, who's impressed the ECHL last year. They also have brought in JD Dudek, an American center, further strengthen the forward lines. He comes in from the Worcester Reelers. In terms of homegrown talent, the Storm have secured some graduates, some young talent there. Noah, I'm not even going to know how to pronounce his surname. There's a lot of double dots above the A's, and also Josh Crawley. I think that's one for Anthony there to kind of highlight for me. Each committing to pro contracts to the 27-28 season as part of what they see as the club development there. It's part of a program that the Manchester Storm have put together. What also has happened? Well, there's been a few departures for the Manchester Storm. Defenseman CJ Garcia will be returning this upcoming season after having joined in 2023, so he'll be leaving from the blue line. And fan favourite from last year, Owen Griffiths, also exits after appearing 64 games last season, and he will be leaving this coming season. So what does this mean? Well, new coach in Critchlow combined with fresh imports, some youthful signings, potential for some mixed blending of size and skill this coming season. It'll be definitely a very interesting one for Critchlow's first season. So, John, I suppose the question first off is Critchlow's first season. How do you feel he's going to transition from captain to head coach? Do you think there'll be a affected team dynamic or the performance in any way, given the fact he was a captain to head coach? Kind of, we've seen that in other teams. How do you feel that's going to happen?
I think it'll go reasonably well. I think Critch knows what Manchester needs. I'm not sure. Last season was an abject disaster for Manchester, only made better by the absolute turmoil in Fife. And that is not going to happen this season, I don't think. If Manchester play and perform in the manner which they did last season, they will be 10th. There will be no one below them. That puts a lot of pressure. And to be honest, with everything coming out of Fife, I would not want to be Cam Crutchlow right now, because the pressure is squarely on his shoulders to deliver something incredibly different in Manchester this season. Interestingly, again, I'm going to go back to the TikTok lives that I've been doing, and a few Manchester fans have been in the chat, and they are worried. They're worried at the signing announcements. They're worried that at the number of two ways that have been announced. Now I know that we're all for the two ways. We know that Anthony is. He'll be in the chat right now typing the two ways are fantastic. But it can't come at the expense of what you're trying to do as a club. Now, I've said already for Fife, I think they need to be looking at that top 2/3 of the table for a finish. I think Manchester need to be doing exactly the same. In fact, everything I said that Fife need to do, I think Manchester have to do. This has to be a reaction year. You don't, in this league of 10 teams, you don't get to hide behind the rebuild excuse. There is no excuse for performances like we saw last season. So, like, it cannot happen again. They have the pieces. Specifically, I think the Brit pieces on the young talent coming through is great, but they are going to have to produce something with their imports. They're going to have to be mid-table to be seen to be successful. Again, I don't see trophies in this season for them. I see them clinging on. Honestly, I probably think they're going to be in a fight for playoffs come the end of the season. But yeah, there has to be a strong reaction, especially when you look at they were struggling to sell seats towards the end of the season, and that's all because of the massive falling off we had towards the end for them. This is a city that is building a new arena which could house ice sports. It would be a massive improvement on the Storm Shelter, the Drizzle Dome, whatever you want to call it. But if you want Manchester to be a, in inverted commas, arena team again, there has to be success for bums to be on seats. So it has to start now. It has to start this season, and there has to be a reaction to what happened before.
Yeah, 100%. I good words very well. I don't have any other questions in relation to Manchester. I think you covered quite everything I was looking to look at. I'm going to move on to our second to last team, and that's the Nottingham Panthers. Let's take a look there. So the Nottingham, a snapshot, I suppose, of their previous season, third place finish last year, playoff glory. Now they're gearing up for a title defense in the form of keeping that playoff trophy. But several roster moves, key signings, I think they've made a clear indication of where they're wanting to aim for next season, and that is a top finish in the Elite League, claiming that league title. We'll have to wait and see how they're going to do that. Well, I suppose they have retained some stability in their net. We talk about this goaltender all the time. We talk about the caliber of this goaltender and how great he's been at the back end of last season, and that is Jason Grande. He's back after leading the league last season with a 1.86 goal average. He is back in between the pipes, and joining him will be local talent Lucas Sheldon, who will be his backup of his fourth season, I believe, with the Nottingham Panthers, offering some strong depth in the crease as well. Nottingham have focused, I feel like, a lot on re-signing a lot of their previous season team, but they have added in some newbies. The Panthers have locked down key contributors Mac Alfro, 41 points in 45 league games, and Tim Doherty, also both re-signing, and also then we've looked at some defensive reinforcement, and also they have brought in, I think, David Noel, a Canadian defenseman arriving from Finland. He's a two-way player, so they're hoping that he's going to add some depth there as well. I should say, I suppose it is being head coach Danny Stewart is going into his second season with the Nottingham Panthers. He took over in 2024, has signed a multi-year contract extension as well at the end of last season. I guess my main question for you, John, is, given this off-season so far, they have re-signed key forward and defenseman, and I suppose kept with a lot of favourites, and also kind of kept that stability with having a lot of re-signings. Is that a good thing in terms of the title run? Does that make it that they're does it make title more likely for them, having core players who are well known to each other, or do you feel that they should have been a bit more ambitious and aggressive in the market and bringing in some more players?
No, if you're Nottingham, you look at Grandy, and you build a team around him. He had, I think, arguably the best half of a season of any netminder, and I'm including some absolute greats in that. I'm including Ben Bounds, I'm including Greenfield, I'm including Tyler Beskorowany in that. I honestly believe Grandy is of that Tyler Beskorowany skill level. He's also of that level where he can win trophies just like Tyler Beskorowany. You look at what they were able to do from when he came in, and I mean, Anthony has said it in the comments here. He made it look easy. He made some saves look easy. Now, I did the TikTok video on Nottingham as well, and we're really grateful to Nottingham because they've agreed to come on the podcast, and I think it's an absolutely nailed on option that we're gonna probably ask Grandy to come on the podcast. Whether he does or not, that's up to him, but we'll wait and see. I think you look where your longevity comes from. They won the playoffs. I think, yes, they were in it as far as the league went right to the end. If that Nottingham team that ended last season were there from the start, you have a 3-horse race that I think ends with Nottingham 6 points ahead of everyone. That's probably the reality. I think Nottingham probably take the league last year with Grandy and nets from the start. I think the addition of big key defensemen like Hilderman and Noel, they know what they want. They want to protect Grandy to make those big saves. They want to force the play to the outside. They want to make the puck as visible as possible for him, because if he sees it, he saves it. That's just the reality. I think that's the sort of netminder he is. If he gets his eyes on, it's not getting through him. They're also strengthening the forwards. They want to score more goals. I think Lemos in particular, I think, is an incredibly strong signing for them. This is the first time in a few seasons I am putting Nottingham in that top 3 argument. I would almost say they're top 2. I honestly think that the big fight at the top is Belfast-Nottingham, and I think Sheffield are a very, very close third for reasons I'll go into in a second.
Yeah, I mean, 2 things. I've got one more question for you, but before we move on, just something you did, sir. Obviously, Nottingham and your thoughts on Nottingham in terms of coming into the next season. We should say that normally before the season officially starts, and that'll probably be in our next episode, we usually do our predictions, our league predictions. So that will come up. That will be coming in our future episode in August time. We'll have a look at our predictions for the upcoming season. We won't be doing that tonight because obviously 2 of our boys are missing from the panel tonight. So we'll wait until next episode to do that. But one last question, and I do see we have 1 or 2 Nottingham Panthers fans in the live right now. I suppose the question for you, John, is putting you on spot, and some of the fans there, I'm sure what their answer is going to be. After a 3rd place finish and a solid playoff last season, is anything short of a league title a disappointment for the Panthers fans this year?
No, I think another single trophy in Danny Stewart's 2nd year is still a success. I think if they find form from the very start, I think the Challenge Cup is well within their grasp. That being said, I hate the Challenge Cup. I hate its format. But I think a single trophy is definitely well within their reach. No trophies is probably a bigger problem. 2 trophies, definitely a potential. The triple is there for any of the top 3 teams, but I've said at length, both here on the podcast and on our socials, I don't like the number of Grand Slams that we've had in the league over the last little while. It stinks of a lack of parity within the league. It shows that 1 or 2 teams have much deeper pockets than others. And I don't like it. Grand Slam should happen once every 10 years, and it should be because generational talent are coming through the squads and are being progressed through. And recruitment is particularly special one season. That's where Grand Slam should come from, not from deep pockets. So the fact that we've got 3 incredibly strong teams going into the season, I can't see another treble happening this year unless 2 teams have massive drop-offs. But I think. Sorry, your question was around Nottingham. I think we'll still see it. One thing I've totally forgot to mention, though, Marty, when it comes to the Nottingham Panthers, see their forward signing, Chase Pearson. See if you haven't checked out his social media. Check it out. You in particular won't like his banner on his X profile because it's his feet. But he does wash his hair with eggs, and he has particular views on a lot of things like sunglasses and sunscreen.
I'm now intrigued. I'm gonna have to go have a look and see. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. With that, let's move on to the last team and the last summary before we go through a couple of small stories before we finish off the podcast. Let's finish off with the Sheffield Steelers. The Sheffield Steelers finished the 2024-2025 season without any form of silverware after coming off a season before being the treble champions. Narrowly missing out on the playoffs against the Nottingham Panthers. They're now entering this. They entered this offseason to try and tweak rather than overhaul their whole entire roster. Some key things in this past offseason, some key retentions. Obviously, Captain Robert Dowd had returns for his 18th season, extending his status as the club's all-time leading goal scorer. We have also defenseman Kevin Tansey and Reece Kelly also re-signing, keeping that defensive stability intact. Some new additions there: Jack Doherty, we'll say, rugged American defenseman drafted by Nashville in 2014. Penalty kill and shutdown reliability, had stints in AHL and European leagues. And up front, they have brought in Ryan Tate, who jumped ship from the Guildford Flames, which we mentioned earlier on. And he has been brought in for the Sheffield Steelers. Goaltending then, we have Matt Greenfield, a 3-time Elite League All-Star, has signed a 3-year extension. We also have then Eamon McAdam, who arrives from Guildford to join the crease as the pair there for the double team in Sheffield. Aaron Fox has emphasized so far this offseason that it's been careful adjustments and no wholesale overhaul was being required. Some key names have departed, which we talked about in the previous episode. Some Susserman and a couple of others who are well known in Sheffield have all left. Some fan favorites have left as well. But I suppose what they're looking to do is try and learn from where they missed out last season and try and, I suppose, reclaim their throne and head back towards the top of the Elite League, and also I suppose the other 2 trophies that are up for competition. I suppose call you Aaron there, John. John, first question. Aaron Fox has, as I say, he's mentioned that minor tweaks rather than a full rebuild. Was this the right call after missing out on silverware, or should they have been more aggressive this offseason in relation to improving their squad?
No, I think ideally they probably would have liked to hold on to probably more of that squad. Now I know that the likes of the Colton Saucerman departure, that was certainly a coaching decision based on the chat that you got out of him when he was announced as signing for Coventry. The other ones I think are players reaching their natural end and wanting to progress on. That's very clear with Marco Valorant moving on. But the other, do I think they've been not aggressive enough? No, because bear in mind that team did remarkable things in the CHL last season, getting through to the knockout stages. Something that we hope to see the Belfast Giants repeat this season, if not more. In fact, if you believe the fan vote, once again, I think it was 89% of CHL fans believe that the Belfast Giants are going to win the Champions Hockey League this season, because of course they are. The signings that they've made in place of the people that have left look incredibly solid. I know that the fans are incredibly keen to see Cliff Pooh make a big statement when he comes into this league. And I did mention on TikTok the other day that I hope someone will correct me if it's not poo is what you says, because I don't want to be talking poo all season if I'm not supposed to be talking poo. If there's another way to pronounce that, then someone please do tell me. But the likes of the move of Eamon McAdam coming across from Guildford, I think that shows they've seen what he can produce and they've had a decent enough chat with him that perhaps we don't see Greener starting every single game. McAdam, I think, has quality in nets. He showed that. And I think I don't want to say they're going to do a 50-50 split. I don't think that's what they'll do. But having the option to rest Greener a little bit more, I think is a great thing for Sheffield. But that being said, I still think with the signings that have been made, I still put them in that 2A position behind Nottingham. I think the strongest team as far as signings are concerned right now is Belfast. The second would be Nottingham, and 2A, I think would be Sheffield. That's my take for top three going into 2025-26.
I have one last question before we move on from this part and move on to our first technical story. And I don't mean to put a lot of pressure on Aaron Fox, but I suppose the main question and the last question to ask is, Sheffield had a very dominant 2023-2024 season, and they fell short last year with no wins, with no trophies at all. If the 2025-2026 season finishes the same way as the 2024-2025 season, what do we think that means for Aaron Fox and his future at the Sheffield Steelers?
I think that all depends on the manner in which the other trophies are won. If they fail at the first hurdle in the Challenge Cup, so say they don't make it through the group stage, which I think is unlikely. If they don't make it as far as the semi-finals, then I think that's a serious problem. And considering that happens early in the season, then that would lead you to believe that there's been a problem of recruitment or players just not performing, or there's a coaching problem. If it's a coaching problem, then you would seriously expect Fox to go. As far as the league and the playoffs are concerned, playoffs are playoffs. The Steelers will be thereabouts. They will probably make the Final Four. It's a barrel shot. The playoffs, the way that we play it, failing to get the playoffs, I think, is never a reason for a coach to go. I think because we put the pressure on the league performance over a 54 game season, something like that. 54 games, 57 games, something like that. Anyway, that's where that pressure will come. I think anything less than second or third place in the league, then I think Aaron Fox's position will be at risk. But is no silverware a big deal for him? Probably not, unless Sheffield think that they can go and get something much better than Aaron Fox if they have another trophyless season.
Yeah. That's a good summary. Hopefully that's been a nice comprehensive catch up and summary of the off season so far. As I said, we kind of just focused on a few little bits and pieces. I know we probably missed out on a number of players, whatever it is, but we just kind of wanted to focus on some of those key ones since our last podcast at the end of June. So apologies to anybody who's listening and thought you haven't mentioned this or that. So we just kind of have time limits, so we kind of mentioned as much as we could in the time that we had. John, let's move to the first of just three small stories that we wanted to just quickly cover before we finish this podcast. And the first one to talk about, and I think it's probably the biggest talking point so far in this off season, and I can see you're rubbing your hands there. Playoffs. I have titled this in our agenda something that I can't use the word live because we'd have to bleep it and whatever else, and we're trying not to, but playoffs have been announced. Yes, exactly. Tickets for the 2026 Elite 2025-2026 Elite League playoff final weekend went on sale on Monday, the 21st of July, so just over a week ago. As everybody knows, it is the final showpiece of the season. these two semi-finals, followed by third and fourth playoff games, and the final game on the Sunday. This year, it's taking place on Saturday the 18th, and next year, sorry to say, Saturday 18th and Sunday the 19th of April 2026, in its usual place, the Motorpoint Arena in Nottingham. First things first, the tickets went on sale to season ticket holders first, and it was a small open window for season ticket holders from right across the league and the different teams to access and avail of those tickets. Secondly, then after that, the tickets were provided to the Sports Entertainment Tours, who are the official travel partner of the Elite League, and they have exclusive official packages, which include ticket, travel, and hotel. John, it's been a bit of a mess, shall we say. Tickets went on sale really, really early, first and foremost. This is the earliest we've ever seen playoff tickets go on sale in the off-season, which is just unbelievable. Secondly, from what I've heard on the grapevine, and I don't know how much truth is in this, but from what I've heard is that the tickets went up for those season ticket holders from the different teams, and there's been a mass purchase of those tickets by the season ticket holders to the point where they were able to buy tickets for non-season ticket holders. So therefore, that has been a bit of a mess. And then the last part, from if we're led to believe is correct and seems to be pretty accurate because a lot of people have been talking about it, it seems that a significant number of tickets have been given to the travel agency, shall we say, the travel partner, to sell their travel packages for the upcoming Elite League final, Elite League playoff final. What's your thoughts on all of this?
It's a nonsense. It's the most Elite League thing that they could have done. Listen, someone at the Elite League will have told you that there are multiple reasons why they did what they did. The release of tickets to season ticket holders, I can totally get behind if it was done later in the season. There will be a number of fans who will have been expecting the playoff tickets to go on sale later in the season, and they would have been quite happy about that because they've probably just spent a lot of money onto their season tickets. Then to put out the link over what you said was quite a short period of time, with pretty much no warning as well. It was just basically, here's playoff tickets. It's happening this weekend. We're announcing it earlier than ever. And by the way, here's the tickets. That's not helped anyone. Then you've got the uncontrolled buying by season ticket holders. That should have been restricted to the same number of season tickets that you have. Now, that just smacks of not being organised enough to try and figure out how to make 10 different season ticket systems work with the one ticketing system at the NIC. So that, again, is just down to poor management by the Elite League. And yes, we know that a lot of non-season ticket holders have got tickets because they were just being purchased through season ticket holders as a shell. And do you know what? Fair play to the people who managed to do that, because that's working the system, and the Elite League deserves that, and they deserve to be embarrassed because of this whole situation like that. But then you get into the Sport Entertainment Tours side, and this is where I have a significant problem with this, because for one, very Elite League, there is no transparency, there's no clarity about how many tickets have been given to Sport Entertainment Tours. What percentage of each fan base's section has been given across to that? Now, that's also separate to the side that you've got Sheffield, who sell their tickets through their supporters club, and their supporters club get a fee out of all that as well. Like, that's a separate issue. And I said on a live that if Sheffield fans want that to change, then they need to take that up with the club and the supporters club. The Sport Entertainment Tours thing, I have a much bigger problem with. And I'll be totally honest, I feel like I might owe Elite League fans an apology, actually, because 2 years ago, we here on the podcast, we somewhat embarrassed the Elite League, because right up until the playoff final weekend, I was able to go on, back when they used Ticketmaster, for the sale of playoff tickets. This was the year after they raised the prices significantly at the last minute, and seats weren't selling. It ended up, I think, through day tickets and things, they managed to more or less fill the arena, but it certainly wasn't a sellout. It wasn't full to capacity. And since then, we have not been able to see how ticket sales are going with playoffs. With Sport Entertainment Tours as well, I'm not sure about how this is across the 10 teams who might be able to use Sport Entertainment Tours, but the Belfast situation requires individual thought on this as well, because Sport Entertainment Tours are screwing over Belfast fans. For the price that is being quoted for Belfast fans to secure their tickets for the weekend, along with travel and hotel, it's significantly more expensive than trying to do it yourself. The travel options that are available as well massively put at risk fans actually being able to attend the first game, because Sports Entertainment Tours don't intend on flying Belfast fans out to Nottingham until the Saturday morning. The flight that's been chosen just about gives you enough time to get to Nottingham and get to the NIC. What it doesn't allow is for time for you to check into your hotel, leave your bag, and then make your way to the arena. If there's any sort of delay or cancellation to those flights that Sport Entertainment Tours is offering to Belfast fans, there will be no Sport Entertainment Tours booked Belfast fans at least the first game of the playoff final weekend. And that will be an enormous embarrassment, not just to the league, but also to Sport Entertainment Tours. Now, one other big kicker that we've got is when this partnership was announced, it was a 3-year deal. This is year 2. We still have, unless the two decide to part ways by mutual agreement, we've got 1 more year of this, folks. So strap in, because I don't imagine the league doesn't learn its lessons. So why would one of their key partners? I think the same thing is likely to happen again. Now, we still have to wait and see when tickets go on general sale, because they haven't gone on general sale just yet, I'm led to believe. Now, I imagine that other than through Sports Entertainment Tours, just to say, will tickets go on general sale? We don't know, but if sales are so bad, you have to imagine that they will open up the day ticket option again, the game, the Saturday option and the Sunday option once again. And if they do that, then that is just a sign of an abject failure by both partners to sell playoffs to the fans, who are their lifeblood. And let's not forget, the playoffs is one of the biggest cash cows for the league. All 10 teams benefit from this. All 10 teams hurt when the league runs it incorrectly, the way that they've done this. So it's been handled incredibly, incredibly poorly. And once again, the fans are being seen as secondary to the pound value that the league can get out of it.
Agreed. I just think it's just another season where the Elite League feels like there's just no respect whatsoever for the fan base. It just feels like another issue of a money grab in some ways. And I guess the question does raise then, by bringing in their partner travel agents, whatever it is, like how much more money does the Elite League gain from those changes, in prices? Do they gain more from it?
Well, it just
doesn't make sense.
On that point, my question would be, if that travel company is so important and if that partnership is so lucrative, why are we not this season the Sport Entertainment Tour Elite League?
True.
Once again, we're going into a season with no title sponsor. And that's where a lot of this stems from. No title sponsor, no TV deal, nothing. So once again, we are where we are.
Yeah, it's a joke. It really is a joke. Let's move on to our second to last story. And this is an interesting one that came out what was it? Came out about a week ago? Yeah. So this is the story that street hockey, NHL street hockey, is coming to the UK as part of a national rollout of free street hockey for kids. Ice Hockey UK and the National Hockey League have joined together to launch a national program which will introduce street hockey to thousands of children across the UK. The NHL and Ice Hockey UK announced that a partnership deliver free access to NHL street hockey sessions, which is league ball hockey. We'll be going ahead for 5 children aged 5 to 11 across the United Kingdom. Additional learning to skate sessions then will be available for participants. The initiative is part of the IHUK's 2024-2030 strategic plan, and they aim to provide fun, accessible, and inclusive opportunities for children to experience hockey and learn the fundamentals of the sport. The program will launch in 6 selected UK cities during the 2025-2026 season, with the support of the local teams. This includes the Belfast Giants, the Cardiff Devils, the Glasgow Clan, the Guildford Flames, Nottingham Panthers, and the Sheffield Steelers, with plans for an expansion in 2026-2027. What will that look like? Well, each participating city will work alongside IHUK to implement the program and will receive equipment provided by the NHL, and participants will also be invited to join a Learn to Skate program connecting street hockey to the ice level as a long-term pathway into ice hockey participation. NHL street hockey, for anybody who doesn't know, is created as an evolution of NHL street ball hockey, which is a program in North America, and was designed to meet the needs of youth and communities which were harder to, I suppose, get involved with the sport of ice hockey and also to reach. We talked about NHL street hockey a long time ago on our podcast. I think when it was kicking off. To date, the NHL street hockey operates successful programs in Sweden, Finland, Czechia, China, as well as the world's premier professional ice hockey league. The NHL has obviously 260 countries and territories right across the globe, and they are all aware of what street hockey is. NHL Commissioner Bill Daly did say, thrilled to expand the NHL street hockey to UK in collaboration with the IHUK, and the NHL has a long history and successful track record using ball hockey to introduce new fans to the sport, but also to grow the game as well and include some next generation hockey players. Obviously some familiar names. One big name linked to this has been forward Liam Kirk, who was drafted as the first English trained player to be drafted to the NHL. He believes the program can inspire the next generation of hockey talent in the UK. Kirk is currently with the playoffs or German leagues as well. So, I mean, it's an interesting one, John. I mean, this was something that was signed. It's pretty exciting when we think about it. What's your thoughts? Has there been much chat about this on social media whenever you've been doing your chats?
Yeah, plenty of chat about this actually. And my first one is because it's for kids aged 5 to 11 and the NHL are actually providing the equipment. Can anyone get me a fake ID that says I'm between the ages of 5 and 11 so I can get some NHL gear, please? Because it's going to be the only way I'm going to be able to get any affordable hockey gear to even attempt to play anything like street hockey or even ice hockey, because cost really is a barrier. That's one of the things that this is looking to do, is to get people into the cheaper end of the game, which is, I don't want to say cheap, but cheaper end of the game, which is ball hockey and street hockey. And it's, when you look at the successful hockey countries, this is what kids start by playing, is a ball hockey on the street. Whereas I think in Scotland and Northern Ireland, especially parts of England, it's going to be like the football side of things. It's going to be like playing Kirby or Cribby or whatever you're going to call it. Or touch rugby even. Like this is that version of that. This is that gateway entry into the sport. So this is fantastic. But one thing I want to point out as well is the fact that this is a partnership. Whilst they're working with the Elite League teams, this is a partnership specifically with Ice Hockey UK. And actually, since his installation, Henry Stallings has been at the head of a number of fantastic programs and developments within Ice Hockey UK. So, do you know what? I don't want to say that Ice Hockey UK always felt somewhat insignificant up until he came in, but it did. It just seemed to be existing on the periphery of the sport. Now, they're really positioning themselves. And the fact that through conversation, we even had the Elite League use the word development in a press release, a joint press release with Ice Hockey UK. And now the fact that the door is back again open to unifying the hockey system between Scotland and England once again. Scotland, England and Wales, sorry, I should say again, with talks of unified management bodies. Ice hockey in the UK is going from strength to strength. What we need is the Elite League to be the beacon of that, because they are the Premier League within the country, and things like the playoff ticket debacle can't happen We need to have title sponsorship, and we need to have a TV deal to make this sport go further.
Yeah, 100%. John, let's move on to our last story, and we can't finish off a podcast, a Door 14 hockey podcast, without having a quick look at some jerseys. I know we didn't get the chance to do it in the last podcast because there was nothing to look at, but this podcast we have a few jerseys that we can have a look at, but also we're going to come back to the story that we promised we'd come back to, and that is the Fife Flyers. The Fife Flyers, as we talked about in our summary section, are doing a rebrand, rebuild, refit, whatever you want to call it. A new era of hockey is underway in Fife, and to ensure that is happening, they have also done a few little bits and pieces which we want to have a quick chat about and get your opinions and thoughts on, John. Let's have a quick look at this. So the Fife Flyers have made some subtle changes to their branding and to their logo. Gone is the white, and they've come in with this nice, beautiful gold, yellow and dark navy colored logo, sticking still with the tradition and having the Fife Flyers. Oh, you've switched on to the next one. Did you switch that?
I did
sticking with it's okay. Sticking with tradition, the Fife Flyers have kept their Fife Flyers main logo with their year formation and the classic hockey sticks in the center. But it's just a nice new kind of refresh on a brand, and I just think it does stand out. It looks nice. It's a nice way to kind of start something new with keeping with the old in some ways too. They have used this logo then, John, you kind of preempted it, but they have used this logo and these colors then on one of their jerseys. So they've got this jersey, which looks like it's going to be potentially their home jersey. Now, whether or not these are going to be the jerseys they're going to go with in the next season, I think it might be, but if it is an indication of what the jerseys are going to be in this coming season, these are beautiful jerseys. And we talk about Fife Flyers, they nail it on the head every single time. They do design some really beautiful jerseys, and this is the same. This nice dark navy yellow band jersey with the logo in the center in the middle. Yes, there'll be some branding put on there in terms of sponsorships and stuff, but right now this is what it looks like, and I think it looks beautiful. This is the navy one, and John, I'll come back in a second. This is the navy one, and this is the white away one. Again, sticking with the same colors for the logo, but having the white with the bands being the navy and the yellow. Before we move on to the next part, John, let's get your thoughts on this changing of the logo slightly and these jerseys that they've designed for home and away. What's your thoughts on these?
Mate, all of it is just top end, isn't it? Like I'm going to take control properly this time because I want to go back to the logo just to start with. The fact that the club, the new owners, haven't come in and haven't tried to wipe away the history of the club. You could never do that without doing a full rebrand, rename, all the rest of it. You couldn't do that, and you shouldn't do that. Yes, the last little while has been a bit of a blot on the reputation of this club. This is an incredibly storied club. It's an incredibly successful club. But you know what? Doing something as simple as switching colours around, even just going back, this harkens to the old school colours of the Flyers, the navy and gold. When they wore wool sweaters, this is what they wore. Back when guys weren't wearing pads, they weren't wearing helmets, they were barely wearing gloves. These are the colours of this club. You take that forward into this jersey. Both of these jerseys are fantastic. Now, I don't know if this is the same crew that were doing it before. I know that a lot of the behind the scenes guys have been kept on. I genuinely hope that this is the same people. I hope this is Morag and her partner who are still doing this. It feels like it is. It feels like that same sort of style. But it feels like it's had the eye of these new owners on it as well. It feels like they know what they want to do with this club. And the drop of these, and the other one that we're going to talk about as well, I mean, let's just look at the white one. The white one's just fantastic. If I have any sort of disposable cash with a second kid coming in a couple of months, I will be dropping a couple of pound on that because that's stunning. Even if they can, what I really, really hope, I hope they can keep the sponsors understated. I hope that they can maintain. There's going to have to be a title sponsor. We know that. There's going to have to be a few sponsors on the arms, sponsor on the backs, maybe a sponsor down the band at the bottom. But you know what? If they can keep it understated, and if they can keep that logo that size, because this has been a major criticism that we've had of a lot of teams, is the sponsors have been more important than the team logo. If that team logo stays that size on those jerseys, they can put whatever sponsors they want on. That's the important thing right there, is the badge on the front of that jersey, and that's what the guys should be putting on every single game, not just a sponsor logo.
Yeah, 100%. With that, with this new rebuild for a new era for the Fife Flyers comes a slight alt branding, shall we say, or alt logo, and that comes in the form of this F-shaped Flyers, keeping with this kind of swoop feel to it. Sticking with the colors, navy and the yellow, they have kind of used this as like their alt branding, and in doing so, they have created this alternative jersey with the alt branding on it and the Fife Flyers style. I mean,
goddamn,
this is the kind of thing. This is the kind of thing they've done where they've kind of stuck with tradition, but in keeping with sticking with tradition, they've also acknowledged that there has to be some kind of newness to the team, and in doing so, they've brought in this alt branding, which is smart because you can obviously interchange that. We've had other teams who've done alt branding previously. We had the Belfast Giants, who classically had the old Finn McCool logo with the proper full fin, and then they brought in the Belfast Giants new logo, which is a variation of an old brand, alt branding for the Belfast Giants. So we have seen it in the past with other teams. This will divide some people's opinions, but I mean, it's simple. It's simple design. It's versatile. It can be added things. We've seen this kind of new style across the Elite League, where we've had the likes of the Belfast Giants have made their logo a bit more flatter, so it can be easier transferred onto merchandise products and is easier to use. We've seen it with the Cardiff Devils previously in the last 2 years, where they've changed their logo branding to make sure that it was more versatile in terms of merchandising. And I see that the Fife Flyers are continuing with that trend and creating something that they can use as well. What's your? I know I've seen there you put up Anthony's thoughts on this, but John, your thoughts on this?
I like it. No surprise. What it does. Now, I didn't actually read the full press release when it came out, so I don't know if they've done this on purpose, but it modernizes and it harkens back to the old Flyers logos of past. Now, the flying hockey sticks logo, which we've seen on the other jerseys, that is the sort of original, that's the old school. But if you go back as well, the Flyers used to play with just an F, a stylized F on their jersey. And that's what this does. Now, I know it's not to everyone's taste, but I do see it. I do like it. Now, again, I'm going to take control, Marty. Again, I'm going to go back because I want to look at this one. And again, because I haven't read it, I don't really know if this is what they're doing. But if you don't know the geography of Fife, Fife is essentially a peninsula. It's bordered on its northeast and west sides by water. To me, what this sort of suggests to me, and this is me talking as a Fifer here, obviously, it gives it that sort of sandy, golden sort of periphery, almost like it's talking about the location as well as just being an F for Fife. Now, that's somewhat lost, and I will admit this. That image is somewhat lost in this jersey, where they've kind of gone with that. Is it Sweden who has the crowned logo? That's what that's evoking to me, is that sort of Swedish national jersey. So that golden band is somewhat lost within this jersey. This isn't by any means my favorite one, but I do understand the alt brand. I do get it, and I think it's successful. And my understanding is that this jersey is their Challenge Cup jersey for this coming season.
Rookie mistake there. My dog was doing some weird yawning sound, so I muted for a second. I mean, I would probably say I'm a fan. I like the fact that the F does look like a wing, and I just like the style they've created with it. So yeah, I mean, it's like anything, people each person has their own tastes and their own opinions on things, and people don't like some changes in terms of branding or how things look. And in keeping with that,
I can't tell if Tonks likes it or not, given the amount of yawning she's doing.
That's her whining because I think she's wanting to go downstairs because I think she's bored on the bed. So what that I was going to say is I was going to say this episode officially marks the last episode of our current style of branding and our current style of Door 14 hockey. Next episode will be that mark our 10-year anniversary is the next episode. I can't believe I'm saying that. 10 years of Door 14 hockey. And in doing so, we have made a decision that we will kind of do what other teams have done, and we've decided to go for a refresh. And I guess why not? Let's do a little sneak peek at that refresh now, I guess. In the form of let's just change this. Boom. So a little slight rebrand. You'll be able to see up here in the top corner, there's a nice little new branding going on. We've got Door 14 Hockey Podcast. We've included the hockey podcast. We've included podcasts for the first time because I think it's been missing. And also a little nod to the 10-year anniversary as well. But there's a bit more to be released in terms of intro videos and a few other little bits and pieces that I've been working on over this off season, just for a nice refresh relaunch come August and our next episode.
I've seen it.
And John, I'm excited about it. I don't know about you. I think, I mean, I'm excited about it. I know you guys are excited about it. We've had a chat about it, and I think it's about time.
Listen, we've gone 10 years with the same sort of brand identity, the same logos. I just wish you'd give me a heads up last season before I went and got a hat made with the old logo. So thanks very much, mate. I'm gonna have to go get a whole new hat made, and we're probably gonna have to go get new jerseys now. And just as well that 5-on-3 tend to jump onto my lives every now and then, so I might have to have a discussion with them about some custom jerseys.
Well, I promise I will purchase you a hat because it's my fault that I decided to change the branding when you bought a new hat. So I will buy you a hat with the new branding on it. That's my can I point out one of the comments that we've had? Just to point out one of the comments that we've had on your ice background that you've put on for this. Anthony says it's not very British hockey. You can see the lines on the ice. Yeah, he's not wrong. If you were at Planet Ice, you just kind of guess where the red line is. Yeah, I'm excited. And
it's awesome work. The stuff you've been very kind. You've shown me a lot of the material that you've made for this sort of. Let's not call it a rebrand. Let's call it a refresh, like you said, for this refresh of the brand and the stuff that we're going to do with the podcast as well. Stuff that will be apparent on our socials as well as we go forward into August. Probably going from our next podcast, which is only in 3 weeks. So the stuff that you've done is absolutely incredible. I haven't got the talent or the skill to do it. You've gone off, you've done it. You've put a lot of your own time and effort into not just the graphic stuff, but some other stuff, which is really, really cool. You've done really well by me for the socials, by giving me a sneak peek of some stuff that I can use with that in the coming weeks as well. So hats go off. Well, certainly my old hat goes off to you until I get my new hat. Yeah, well done, mate. I'm really looking forward to showing off your hard work to everyone at the next podcast.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to. So, yes, with that, we will sign off for this week.
Hang on. Does that mean we get to use the new logo now, seeing as you've shown it off? Does that mean we get to update stuff already to the new logos?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, why not?
Yes!
Sure. Let's sign off for this podcast in the old traditional way. Not that it's not going to change too much in the next coming up, but let's sign off as we always do and look forward to our next episode, which will be out, as John said, in probably about 3 weeks' time. We'll be back for our pre-season episodes where we will look ahead at the upcoming season. The CHL will literally be starting probably about a week after, not even the next episode. So
shall we just give a date because I think that just keeps us honest, and it's right as the preseason games all start kicking off, especially, I mean, for example, Belfast. So we are next due to podcast on the 21st of August. That's when you'll see us back.
Yes.
And that's us going to be back to normal. That's going to be us back to every 2 weeks.
Yep, 21st of August marks our 10-year anniversary officially. So we'll aim for the 21st of August. So we will be back in 3 weeks' time. With that, we will sign off for this episode, and we will thank everyone, as usual, for taking the time to watch. And also, if you're listening to traditional podcast, thank you again for listening to the podcast. Check out this episode and all previous episodes on our website, door14hockey.com. Check out follow us on all our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok. Very active on TikTok, John. Well done there at Door 14 Hockey. Check out this episode, all our episodes on your podcast provider of choice. Don't forget to like, subscribe, leave us a review, comment, whatever your provider of choice has as your method of reviewing. Please do so. And if you haven't done also already as well, don't forget to follow us on our YouTube channel, and you can click the button which is down here somewhere, and don't forget to hit that bell so you'll know when we go live for our future episodes. With that, we will sign off. I'm Marty.
I'm John.
Have a great week.